Hello all. Welcome to the last section of the course, World Space UI. In this section, we'll first begin with Reusable Canvas, then move on to learn about various UI elements like the visor HUD, the reticle cursor, the windshield HUD, the game element UI, the info bubble, in-game dashboard, and finally, responsive object UI. Now we'll move on to the first video of this section, a reusable default canvas. In this video, we will create a new canvas, then add an empty image element, and then add a text element, and finally save it to create a prefab. Unity's UI canvas provides a lot of options and parameters to accommodate the kinds of graphical layout flexibility that we have come to expect not only in games, but also from the web and mobile apps. With this flexibility comes additional complexity. To make our examples in this section easier, we'll first build a reusable prefab canvas that has our preferred default settings. We will create a new canvas and change its render mode to world space. First, navigate to Game Object, UI, Canvas. Rename the canvas as Default Canvas. Then set render mode to world space. The rect transform component defines the grid system on the canvas itself, like the lines on a piece of graph paper. It is used for the placement of UI elements on the canvas. Set it to a convenient 640 by 480 with a 0.75 aspect ratio. The rect transform component's width and height are different from the world space size of the canvas in our scene. Let's configure the rect transform component in rect transform set width equals 640 and height equals 480. Then, in scale, set XYZ to 0.00135, 0.00135, 0.00135. This is the size for one of our pixels in world space units. Now position the canvas centered on the ground plane 1 unit above. 0.325 is half of 0.75. In rect transform, set pos x, pos y, pos z to 0, 1.325, 0. Next, we will add an empty image element with a white background to help us visualize the otherwise transparent canvas and provide an opaque background for the canvas when we need one. We can also use a panel UI element. With default canvas selected, navigate to Game Object, UI, Image. Ensure that it's created as a child of the default canvas. If not, move it under Default Canvas. With the image selected, on the upper left of its rect transform pane, there is an Anchor Presets button, shown in the following screenshot. Selecting it opens the Anchor Presets dialog box. Press and hold the Alt key to see the stretch and position options, and choose the one on the bottom right corner, Stretch. Now the blank image is stretched to fill the canvas. Double-check your image settings based on the default properties for the image child of the default canvas, as shown. Add a text element with useful default settings. Firstly, with the default canvas selected, navigate to Game Object, UI, Text. Ensure that it is created as a child of the default canvas. If not, move it under Default Canvas. The words New Text should appear on the canvas. With the text selected, set Alignment to Center Align and Middle Align, and set Vertical Overflow to Overflow. Set the scale to 4, 4, 4. With the image selected, set its Anchor Presets button to Stretch. Stretch using the widget on the upper left of its rect transform pane. Double-check your text settings based on the default properties for the text child of the default canvas. Rename the text. Increase the pixel resolution to give cleaner text fonts by keeping default canvas selected and setting the canvas scalar dynamic pixels per unit to 10. Finally, save your work as a prefab asset that you can reuse throughout this section in this manner. If it is necessary, in Project Assets, create a new folder named Prefabs. Then drag the default canvas object into the Project Assets Prefabs folder to create a prefab. Delete the default canvas instance in the hierarchy panel now. Double-check the default canvas setting against the properties. OK, glad we got that out of the way. Now, we can use the default canvas prefab with different VR user interfaces. Cool! In this video, you learned about Reusable Canvas. Great!